Hello, so in this video I wanted to talk to you about the most serious, what I think would be for me and a lot of other people in the UK, and probably all around the world to be honest, shit hits the fan event, or some sort of event like that, and that would be medications running out in pharmacies. And this could obviously be as a result of something else, or it could just be a thing on its own. Now, if you have a chronic illness, which I do, and quite a few other people do, I actually have more than one chronic illness, but you can have serious problems if pharmacies can't get your medication in. Now, I have ulcerative colitis as one of my chronic illnesses, which is the one that causes me the most worry, in a sense of there's not much you can do other than prescription medication to keep that under control. And sadly, more often than not, it seems the prescription medication is hard to get for that. So for example, your doctor can write you out a prescription for it, but a lot of the pharmacies can struggle to get these prescriptions in because there's not enough of the medicine being manufactured, or the price of the actual medication is too high so the pharmacy can't source it or something like that. So basically with me, I'm lucky at the moment that I'm using a pharmacy that's very good. And what they'll do is, if they can't get my actual medication I'm exactly specified by the doctor in, they've got my permission and my doctor's permission to at least look for alternative medications that would work. And so far I've been quite good with those, so in a sense they could give me lower or higher doses but then in different numbers, so I could match up my daily dose anyway for the medication that way. Or they could find me an equivalent medicine that would work the same, and then I could take that and hopefully I get on with it, because it's better than stopping treatment. So the main thing I want is this thing called Pentasa, which is a sachet. It's a slow release thing. But here's the worrying thing of these. If you look at the expiry, 09/2020, I'm filming this in April 2019. With this sort of medication, that's in an open box obviously, I can only really have 2 months supplies worth at a time, and that was actually going to my doctor and saying, look, seriously, you need to give me a longer supply if you can than a couple of weeks worth, because what you generally get by default is only like 2 weeks to a month's worth on the prescription. And I said, I'm chronically ill with this, I'm taking this medication every day of my life, it's not really good enough that I'll have to keep going to the pharmacy every 2 weeks and I've only got a 2-week supply. So then get another 2 weeks, and he said, yeah, I agree. So he changed my prescription so I could get 2 months worth at a time, but again, that still causes problems. So basically it's, where I have to take 2 of these per day, every day, and the problem is that the expiry on it is only like 1.5 years from the date of manufacture of the medication, maybe 2 years pushing it, because that's also where I've said to people, say to me, like, what would you do in some sort of post-apocalyptic event? Well, I'd die, because if I can't get any more of this medicine that's not being produced, I'm going to start relapsing very quickly, and then my health will get worse and worse. And it's not just things like ulcerative colitis that applies to it. It certainly applies to things like epilepsy medication for people who have epilepsy, and diabetes medication for people that have diabetes. And it's the exact same thing with insulin or whatever you take for epilepsy. And there's going to be a whole host of other illnesses that you can manage and get on with in your daily life if you've got your daily medication, but not if you don't. So I personally can see it that any sort of event that causes problems for sourcing medication like this, because if I can't get this, I'm in trouble. I've also got asthma. Asthma is not generally one I ever have problems getting my inhalers with, but it is another thing to worry about on top of that. But I also need painkillers for the ulcerative colitis. I've got a couple of other conditions I get tablets for. But again, the other conditions are ones I've never had issues with getting the medication for. It's now and again one where the pharmacies say, we can't get in today, but we can get in for you tomorrow. That's never a problem. But with the, Pentasa, sometimes it is a case of the pharmacy saying, it could be weeks before we get some in. So what I generally do is, when I've got a month's supply remaining, I request more of it, and then, normally I've never have to wait more than a month, but sometimes it can get close to a month. But the idea is that I then get 2 months supply when I get some in, so I've got a bit to get on with. Then I've got 2 months supply, and I think the pharmacy have said to me, in a worst case scenario, what they could do is hopefully get me in at least like a 2-week supply again, so I could at least have that to get on with if I'm really desperate. But I think it does raise an important question for people, you know, that do have chronic illnesses. There isn't really any sort of consistent continuance, however you pronounce it, contingency plan for people that have chronic illnesses, because basically it can be bad enough at the best of times, you know, getting your medication. So there's not much hope in the event of something going seriously wrong that you're going to get medication. So that's something that I've had, you know, hanging over my head for a while. That sort of thing. It's not a good, it's not a good thought at all. But I've sort of gotten used to it. As I said, at least with some of the medications, you know, there are alternatives. But in the event of a really bad situation, you're screwed. And that's just the only way of looking at it. So anyway, hopefully this video has been informative for maybe people that don't have chronic illnesses, like for me, like I'm saying personally, and a lot of people with other chronic illnesses. That is the most realistic, I think, shit hits the fan scenario for us. That, for whatever reason, the medicine stops being produced, or you can't get hold of the medicine, so you wither away and die, because you can't get your chronic illness medication that you need every day, 365 days a year for the rest of your life. You can't get that medication. It's as simple as that. So, hopefully this has been an informative video. As I said, it's a bit of a depressing one, but it's worth bringing to people's attention, I think. That, if you have a chronic illness, there's not much you can do, really, is there?